One of the stories you've been hearing in the news is to do with a man from Nottingham who was found guilty of stalking and sent to jail last year. He's a YouTuber, you might know his name, is called Alex Belfield of Nottingham. He was described in court as the Jimmy Savile of trolling, and his videos like swimming in sewage by Jeremy Vine, the broadcaster, who was one of the people that Alex Belfield stalked and trolled with nasty videos and threats relentlessly. And he's now in jail serving time for doing this. Another of his victims is aiming to pursue a civil claim. His name is Philip Dehany. He was one of 4 people that Belfield was found guilty of stalking when he was jailed last year. And Philip is here to tell us a bit about what all that was like on the phone now. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Can you describe what it's like when someone like Alex Belfield has a campaign against you?
It was incredibly distressing. At the time, this all began during COVID as well. So from the offset, you're feeling very isolated because the whole world had been taken away from you. And then someone played on that and kind of used it as a kind of advantage to take pot shots at you and to then harass and target you.
What kind of things was he saying? What was he saying about you, Philip?
So he was making videos about me on YouTube, really homophobic stuff to start with. He would mimic me, mock me for my voice. If he found a picture of me in drag, he would then use that, saying that I was clearly mentally ill. He then went on to just degrade me and say that, because I used to make videos on YouTube as well, and he would scrutinize them and scrutinize me and say that I was bipolar, which I wasn't. He was just making this stuff up.
Yeah.
And then
he threatened to call your parents, didn't he?
No, he did. He found out where my parents lived, because I would stay with them at the time during lockdown to shield. And he found out where my parents lived, found out their address, found out their telephone number, rang my mum, and then recorded the whole conversation, and then tried to blackmail me, saying that he would play it on his YouTube video, and then ended up misquoting it. He didn't play the video in the end, but what he did was then would make quotes from it and take things out of context, things that my mum had said. And my mum felt awful because she had no idea he was recording the conversation, and she didn't know why he had rang or what he was doing.
And what does it do to you? I mean, we heard Jeremy Vine in court talk about the vile trolling, talk about him being like the Jimmy Savile of trolling, and talk about his videos like swimming in sewage and the impact it had on him. What kind of impact did it have on you and your family?
It tore us apart. I was devastated, and my family were as well. My parents couldn't understand why he was doing this to me. They assumed that I must have brought it on myself. So my dad was incredibly angry that I brought it home to them and invaded their privacy. And it just made me feel like I didn't want to be here. Like, there was one day in particular where I just walked out to a field and just sat and cried because I didn't know how to stop. I just felt completely powerless, especially when he began targeting my parents. Yeah. It was one thing to have him harass and target me, but when he started to invade their privacy, I just didn't know. I felt cornered at every point. Like, he was not going to stop. He was just relentless.
And that's what a lot of his victims have said, and they felt, powerless to stop it, and it was like a torrent. So he is in jail now. What do you think you might get from pursuing a civil case against him?
Well, what happened was, even in the lead up to the court case, the criminal investigation, he posted about 30 videos that I really had to work hard to get taken down from YouTube, because they upheld his belief that he was just exercising free speech, that he was entitled to say what he liked about me, even if he was divulging private, confidential information about me. But then during the trial, he was allowed to report on his own case. So he was he represented himself as well during his trial.
Yeah, and he was making videos outside Nottingham Crown Court, wasn't he? I remember.
Yeah, so he would go home every day with scribbled down notes that he'd made during the trial, and then would produce these court reports pretending he was reading from court transcripts when he wasn't. He was reading from these scribbled down notes, and he would distort everything that had happened that day. So I gave 2 days of evidence, and during those 2 days of evidence I was asked why I had been shielding with my parents, and I had to admit that I was doing that because I was HIV positive. Now, this is something that I'd never spoken about publicly before that. And Belfield took that information and then put it into 2 videos that he put on his website, which he made money from, and then onto YouTube as well, effectively outing me for being HIV positive.
From what had been said in court. So what would you want to gain then from a civil case? Do you want him to apologise or to face up to this, or is it about compensation?
At first, I just wanted these videos taken down because obviously that was private information. I wasn't ready to come out publicly about it. And certainly because he was making money from this video as well. And again, YouTube just wouldn't take the videos down. They saw no violation. So I instructed the solicitors to try and get these videos down. And at that point, Jeremy Vine had put in a claim for defamation about the comments that were made against him and the fact that he read out his personal home address in one of the videos. But I hadn't sought defamation. I left that. And with defamation, you have to put in a claim within 12 months. So I left it and waited for the criminal outcome because I wanted justice that way. I would have been happy with that had it not been for the fact that right up to the end, he continued to make these videos, even during his trial. He just wasn't stopping. And then on the day that he was sentenced, he posted a video declaring that he'll be back and that he sleeps well at night and there's nothing would stop him. So it just felt like I needed to take a civil case to get an apology and to get what Jeremy Vine got, which was acknowledgement.
Okay,
because
thank
even
you
now,
for that. I can hear the impact it's had on you. We're probably running out of time, but thank you for explaining. It's the first time I've had a chance to talk to somebody firsthand about the impact that Belfield's actions have had on people. So I think you've explained that very well. Thanks for joining us on BBC Radio Nottingham. Philip Dehany, one of 4 people. Alex Belfield was found guilty of stalking. Is now serving jail time for that offence.